días a todas y
Good
todos.
morning, everyone. It is a pleasure to welcome you in this webinar of Youth and Digital Systems in Agri-Food Systems. I am Carlos Ruiz, technical expert of programs of gender and equity, and along with Alicia Alcántara, we will lead this event. We thank you for your presence through Zoom or through the social media. This webinar will be recorded and it will be available for listening to it later. We especially thank the participants and the partner organizations and friend organizations. In relation to the structure of the event, very quickly, as an introductory, we're going to have an introductory block, a second block where youth will share their experiences on how they are transforming the agri-food systems through digitalization and technologies. And finally, a closing block led by managers of gender and equity in agri-food. Without further ado, I'll give the floor to Lloyd Dale, Deputy Director of AICA, to share some introduction remarks. Go ahead, Lloyd, floor is yours. Good morning, Carlos. Good morning, everyone. Today, the world is celebrating youth, the International Day of Youth, and AICA would like to highlight in this context rural youth in the Americas. International Day of Youth is celebrated every year on August the 12th to draw the attention of the international community about the problems of youth and to help to develop the potential of young people as partners in society, in the current society. The resolution of the Security Council on Youth, Peace, and Security declares this important celebration represents a recognition of the need, of the urgent need to involve youth as an important population in the efforts, in the global efforts to achieve inclusive agri-food systems, as well as efficient and sustainable systems. As AICA, we feel the duty to make visible rural youth the challenges they face, and particularly the importance of their participation in agri-food systems. And because of the familiarity, they understand digital technology, the important role they play in digitalization of agriculture. A key scenario when we talk about the future of agriculture, where youth must be strategic allies. Currently, there is 1.2 billion people ranging from with ages from 15 to 24 years old, 16% of world population. In 2030, this number is considered to increase in 7%, reaching almost 1.3 billion. Youth cannot continue on the edge of development. They cannot be considered the future generation, the replacement of adult population or the future. They play a key role in the development of countries, and agriculture requires their skills, their creativity, enthusiasm, and leadership to promote with digital tools the new agriculture. In 2013, people 24 years old or less represented 2.4% of world population and 45% of users of internet users. 45% of those who browse the internet are less than 25 years old people, and 20% of youth in the world have been in line list 5 years. Young people all over the world are the most active users of ICTs. All over the world, youth are almost twice connected to the network that the world population. 30% of youth population is digitally native, and in the coming 5 years, it is expected that this population will double in the developing countries. Agriculture is not untraditional. As we're going to see today, agriculture is a novel, dynamic, and capable to use the most diverse technologies to promote it and to defeat the challenges agriculture faces today in a context of climate crisis, poverty, gender inequalities, just to mention some of them. This celebration emphasizes the role of young women and the startups because we know gaps can be reproduced online. According to the information requested, only 11% of people have women as co-founders. That is why this activity uh, emphasizes especially the participation of young women of the Americas in the digitalization of agriculture. We know that talking about the aspect, we talk about the young people because the youngest person in the agtech sector has an average 20 years old. More than 85% of youngest people are from 20 and 39 years old. Only 17% of the founders are more than 50 years old. This reinforces our position, meaning that there is no future for agriculture of the America without young people of any gender. They are the global change engine we need, not as the future generation, but as partners of current society. I invite you to enjoy this space thoughts for and how for youth to discover the novelties of technology and digitalization of agriculture as a space for creativity, innovation, associativity, and the possibility to develop a young life project and to contribute with a key sector for the future, agriculture that feed that will feed 10 billion people in the world. Welcome everyone to this dialogue and sharing of experiences in the digitalization of agriculture. You can count on AICA as the partners, the ally institution of youth. I really thank the support of the professional network of youth, AICA, the Gender Equity and Youth team, and digitalization program of agriculture, ICA office in Mexico, and the Caribbean region Processur and Wyber. And of course, ICT staff in ICA that always contribute for us to be connected or to connect with young people to celebrate their day. So with this, Carlos, thank you very much and have a nice day. Thank you, Lloyd Dale, Deputy Director of ICA, for your words that connect pretty well with the following block. It is going to be a window to learn about different initiatives, experiences, and particularly the perspectives of those youth all over the Americas that are embedded in this process of change, in this process of technologies, digitalization within the agri-food systems. To do so, I thank my colleague Alice Alcantara from the Food Digitalization Program. She will moderate this part of the panel. Greetings. Floor is yours, Alice. Thanks, Carlos. Good morning, everyone. I will moderate this dialogue space to explore some opportunities and to share experiences, as Carlos has commented. And to do so, first of all, I'll give the floor to Daniela Mendez. She will introduce her AgTech, Actus, and the success achieved in the digital agriculture field. Daniela, go ahead. Floor is yours. Thank you. Let me share my screen. Good morning and greeting to everyone. I'm really excited sharing this idea, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Act Tools. First of all, I am Daniela Mendez. I am from de Coyes, Michoacan, Mexico, and currently I play the role of leader in investigations for Act Tools. Act Tools is a startup that is revolving the way to make decisions all over the supply chain. And personally, the way I see the perceptions that I have on agriculture, and this actually has had a great influence in me. It is a data science company, Tools. This is it, based on scientific data with information of more than 500 communities. We created this simple uh, visualizations and easy to analyze for different members of the supply chain. And it comes from this idea to provide information to the different levels of the supply chain, reliable and safe information, and the idea is to help to work in a smart manner. This is the main goal of Act Tools: reliable data and smart decisions to improve results in the different levels, producer, buyer, and here, this is many of the challenges that I see as a young professional. We are not heard as we wish to be because we have many ideas, many innovative ideas, and sometimes more experienced people do not know how to listen to us. But very often, this does not affect our value as professionals because very often the responsibility, the desire to learn is higher value, and this is what we look for in companies. My expectations with Act Tools are pretty good because I have witnessed how Act Tools is a company that gives example on how to support innovative companies. Our work team has a lot of new talent, and I have also witnessed how we have uh, work and make decisions and make challenges, helping farmers to find windows of opportunities to place their products, up to help large companies to reduce food waste, helping them to make more smarter purchases. These decisions become more and more important and vital because of the ongoing change because of climate change. It's like putting a grain of sand in this world. Our team in Act Tools, led by the founder Marta Montoya, she's a very admirable woman, responsible to have this passionate team. Not only for agronomists, we have engineers in materials and systems, industrial nutritionists, marketers, psychologists, mathematicians, designers, managers, chemistry people, and anthropologists with different nationalities in our team, but I believe all of us have the same common thing. We are passionate by innovation and technology, and we would like to make a change and to contribute to the sustainable world we wish to have. In our team, uh, the teamwork is vital. We witness how the interaction, the sharing of ideas, uh, work. It changes a lot the responsibility and effort of all of us, and this is the key for success. Discipline. As young people, we need to study and learning new things, respecting the deadlines, and contributing to the companies. Very often, when we have the opportunity to find well-experienced people in the industry that would like to help us or to teach us from his or her own experiences, we need to know how to listen, and we need to know how to learn and to take all this knowledge people want to share with us to improve in what we do. And I would like to close with this sentence. Give 100% in what you do reflects not only your commitment, but also your level of professionalism. We always need to give the best from us. And thank you. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you, Daniela. Thank you for introducing the experience of your team and your working method. Now let's give the floor to Bianca Stephanie Santillana, founder of Forest Lab. She will talk about her experience to found this entrepreneurship starting from biotechnology. Bianca, floor is yours. Thank you. Good morning. Let me share my screen for my presentation. Good morning, everyone. Greetings from Forest Lab Company. In summary, we are a startup dedicated to the use of plant biotechnology for massive production of native plants through Forest Lab. Forest Lab begin with the story of two friends. We are founders of Forest Lab and share a common idea, which is to ensure the environmental and food future of our country. It comes from a conversation we had 2 years and a half ago, where Katia, she is environmental engineer, the CEO of Forest Lab. She was working at that time in plant management of these investment companies that make an important impact to the environment, but needed an important number of plants at that time and nowadays because of the environmental regulations. But the current nurseries and traditional nurseries offer types of exotic plants like eucalyptus, vines that are not natural of our region. And on the other hand, Blanca Vigil, coordinator of operations in Bioslab, I was working at that time in protocols for massive production of agricultural and decorative and ornamental plants. So, fitting these two ideas, this is the origin of Forest Lab in order to generate these forest native plants massively for these plants to be in the scope of these projects and for generation of reforestation projects, environmental compensation, and to fulfill the environmental regulation. Our beginning, we need to take into account that our entrepreneurship is in the agri-tech and climate tech field. And there we need a lab to start to begin our operations. Katia and myself are naturals from the Amazonas, but because of the work, we needed to move to Cusco, where we currently live. And this is where we found the first Forest lab. As you can see in the images, the lab began with rudimentary equipment, with a team with great attitude to get funding to move on. The teams that you see, the equipment that you see on the screen were funded by us. And the desire to continue growing and help us to get different contests, the national and international. And currently we have a lab equipped to generate our massive production of plants, ornamentals, fruits, in the forestry field, in the agronomic field. We are working with national plants such as Quina, Chihuahuaco, national importance. And we will see one example of our new business unit, which is Forest Lab CTEC. Among the achievements, we can mention the first funding was the Amazonia program for startup from the IDB. We also win the contest of SCB and National Fund with Climate Fund. We are the first promotion in this new investment fund. In the case of Latin America, we won the Wiper in Cuba contest a month ago. Some days ago, we were selected on the program of Catalyst, which is a fund for innovation of the Technological Institution in Monterrey, Mexico, with funds. Now we dedicate ourselves 100% to generate new protocols and to make Forest Lab to grow. We are opening a new headquarters of our lab in the Amazon region. Based on all this and the lessons learned, and the study of the market, we have opened 4 business units: Forest Lab Tech Products, Tech Services, Research and Development, which is the heart of Forest Lab. We use the digital biotechnology, and the new unit, the Seed Tech, that we'll introduce to you with a very important focus. So why First Lab Tech is created? Because of the current problem, which is the short supply of quality seeds. As we know, in Latin America, one food most consumed is potato. Peru is the first producer, but there's no access to the quality of seeds, and 0.2% of hectare of potato seed are planted with this good quality. So 40% and even more of the crops are low quality, and that causes losses for the farmer. So according to this problem and according to the experience in Forest Lab, we decided to enter into this new phase and to use plant biotechnology to clean the seeds. So what we do is to clean the seeds from virus, bacteria, from other type of pathogens in order to generate tubers and seeds that will be given to the farmers in order to have a good quality uh, pot- potato to our houses. We want to contribute to food security using new technologies as the in vitro crop and production in reactors at larger scale. But this is done currently by institutions of conservative character, such as SIV and the national institutes. The market needs this quality potato, this quality of seed to ensure the uh, food, not only in Latin America, but also worldwide. Why do we use plant biotechnology? Because it will let us to generate large numbers of plants at a lower cost, with less time, with high quality, with high phytosanitary and genetic quality, and with our technology, we can save different varieties of native potato, commercial, in a germplasm bank to make them available for present generation and future generations seeds with of quality for potato. Our focus is to supply potato seeds of quality to promote agrobiodiversity, and this way we contribute to 4 SDGs, the 2, 3, 11, and 12. This has been, in general lines, a Forest Lab experience. Thank you for being part of the movement and technology for food safety. To know better, we invite you to visit our social media. This is our contact information. Thank you so much. Thank you, Daniela, for introducing First Love experience. Congratulations for the achievements, and really good to see 2 women leading this entrepreneurship. Now, we will gonna give the floor to Rosa Daniel from San Lucia. She will show us her experience with Farm Eye. Go ahead, floor is yours. Floor is yours.
Good morning to all. Thank you for inviting me to share my experiences with you. I am Keisha Daniel, a managing partner here at Fresh Harvest, which is basically a sustainable farm which leverages technology to boost our production. Let's start with the fundamental truth. Agriculture is the heartbeat of our world. It's what feeds us, clothes, and fuels us, but there is so much more to the sector than you may think. Picture this: drones soaring over fields, sensors monitoring soil health, and robots planting seeds with incredible precision. This is a far cry from the old-fashioned farming as we know it. I was born to farmer parents who produced bananas, which was the main export crop from St. Lucia. Although my introduction to the sector began at a young age, the extent of my involvement was simply on an observational level. My parents never advised or encouraged us to continue what they started. It was never viewed as a career path, rather a means to an end. As they got older and their bodies grew weaker, I began to feel the pull, the need to intervene and to help them turn the tide on what seemed like a dying industry. With fresh eyes and a youthful spirit, I wanted them to diversify, making production easier and more profitable. The unplanned retirement soon followed, sending me headfirst into unfamiliar territories. And although I couldn't differentiate a banana from a plantain tree, what I lacked in knowledge, I made for it in drive and determination. This was the birth of Fresh Harvest, 4-acre fruit and vegetable farm. The person who coined the phrase, work smart, not hard, must have been a farmer, because it spoke to my heart on a new level. Imagine getting up before the sun, armed with a bucket and a hose, on a mission to water over 1,000 plants and making it to the office by 8 a.m. Now that needs to be an Olympic sport. Here, my quest for technology began. I had to find a way to irrigate with minimal human intervention, starting off with drip lines. Then along came the timers. Although my task grew easier, I knew it had to be more efficient. Going down the rabbit hole of research, I found precision agriculture, which is essentially increasing farm efficiency through technologies such as sensors and analysis tools. This is where I wanted to be, an irrigation system that could monitor environmental conditions to determine the best course of action to ensure optimal plant health. With a small webinar participation prize awarded by ICA, I was able to purchase moisture sensors, a solar kit, and other items to bring my visions to life. I started Farm Eye, a farm monitoring application that oversees various aspects of production from seed to harvest. The application helps you manage on-farm activities, boosting efficiency and sustainability. Of course, within the region, many challenges have been faced by farmers, particularly young women in the industry. The cost of existing technologies and its availability in the region served as a huge barrier. To circumvent this, we resorted to building our own smart irrigation components. Incorporating technology in an uncontrolled environment in open field production poses its own challenges, as various aspects is tailored to suit. Not having a tech background myself, but with big and bright ideas on how I wanted my farm to operate, forcing my business partner to figure out implementation and building. This was an undertaking in itself, as imagination did not always match feasibility. The benefits far outweighed the challenges, as there was an increase in crop yield and profitability. Across the region, we face a lot of challenges as it relates to accessing farm labor. The use of digital technologies has really decreased my need for labor, while also reducing my production costs. Integrating this approach has led to the reduction of my water and synthetic fertilizer use, all of which has huge implications on the environment and the overall sustainability of my operation. Not only has technology made my mornings easier, it has forced me to take a more comprehensive look at the sector, taking note of how my practices impact the environment, and making decisions to ensure that I'm not contributing to the destruction of the Earth's resources. The overarching goal was not only to make my life easier, but to be more efficient and also to provide other farmers like myself more practical and cost-effective solutions for the operations. Now, approximately 5 years later, I can finally say I now know the difference between a banana and a plantain tree. The leaves of one is green and the other has shades of pink. Which is which, you might ask? I will let you figure it out. Thank you so much. Here ends my presentation.
Muchísimas gracias, Cachar, por sus aportes.
Thank you so much for your contribution. And now I would like to give the floor to Andres Sanchez from the IT and Communication on Digital Agriculture from IECA, talking about the development of initiatives from IECA to promote ag digitalization and what led him to follow these steps. You have the floor. Please go ahead. Thank you. First of all, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. It is a pleasure to be a part of this webinar, and I would like to share with you my experience when it comes to digitalization of agriculture. Mostly, well, first, I work for IT, communication, and digital agriculture at IECA headquarters in San Jose, Costa Rica. And this has been my path. I graduated as an agricultural and biosystems engineer, and then I had a professional internship at IECA, thanks to which I realized all my interests, and I also got a scholarship, and I went back to my country with all the knowledge as a consultant and for GTIC, and this has been my path so far. I would like to mention some of our experiences in detail of each of these steps. For example, this professional internship, where I would like to emphasize what motivated me. Viviana Palmier worked at the headquarters, and she's a technical specialist in technological innovation for agriculture, and she motivated me as a young man to follow these steps. And I would also like to motivate other young people to follow in our steps, because after this internship, I learned the importance of family agriculture, which is fundamental for the countries in the region. And as Lloyd mentioned, digital agriculture is important and it needs to be inclusive, because 54% of people in rural areas in Latin America and the Caribbean depend somehow on agriculture. So we need changes among these generations. So this is why it's important to have these types of contact webinars, and also emphasize and highlight that there's an important gap when it comes to access and gender. So we need to be tackling this gap. And the integration of digital technologies in small farming needs to be done from a holistic approach, depending on the context, which I think is really important, including the different conditions. And after this internship, or thanks to it, I realized that there are some scholarships, and I went to Cordoba in Spain in order to complete my Agri-Digital Masters in Spain. And these are some pictures that I would like to remind of, because it was not just about learning about the new courses and state-of-the-art technologies that Spain has led as an excellent pioneer, but also it's about getting to know other cultures and make friends. For example, we have people from Honduras, others from Colombia and Argentina, and we have I think that we have now a lifetime friendship. And I also wanted to mention this app that we completed during the masters, which is a digital twinning, which is a digital representation of something physical. For example, in my case, it was a chamber to mature goat cheese that help artisans. cheese producers in Andalusia, in Spain, to have more benefits like controlling variables and other things. Then I came back, so I would like to thank Emmanuel Picado, the manager of GTIC, and specifically to develop a program for youth training, particularly on these technologies and digital skills. And the name is Agri-STEAM, and they're conducting the first pilots, and soon it will be available throughout the continent for any young person to be able to enroll and learn about these technologies. And as part of my work here at ICA, we have developed some initiatives from the Director General, which is, for example, the Open Doors ICA in spaces like CIMAC, where I'm currently at, and also the Agricultural Plaza of the Americas, the typical rural house, and the Forest of the Americas. And in my next slide, which is one of the most important for me, I conducted a collection of all the visits that I received. Why? Because I still think that, well, I'm more of an adult now, but I'm still young. And I think that the children that come to visit us are the ones that we, as the youth representatives, need to motivate and inspire so that they can get to know these technologies and to think of agriculture not as something boring, but innovative. And we try to teach them 3 words: agriculture, technology, and innovation. So I brought some tools. This is a mini drone that they can program, and they conduct specific routings and pathways. And with these tools, they can learn about programming, microcontrollers, and everything is related to agriculture. And many people can benefit from it. So that's the idea. We want to motivate the children. And for me, this is the most important slide in my presentation. And with that, I would like to thank you for your attention. It's been an honor to have participated. And if you have any doubts, you can contact me. Please feel free to do so. Thank you. Thank you, Andres. How nice to work at ICA, particularly with children. And now we would like to give the floor to Lucia Cordero from Prosecur to talk to us about how important it is for the youth to be able to contribute to digitalization in family agriculture, along with some of the specific challenges. Lucia, you have the floor. Good morning, and thank you for inviting us to this space. More than beyond sharing my experience, I wanted to share something from Prosesur. This is a space of young people related to family agriculture and the different functions from some of the INEA of the agriculture institutes in the Southern Cone. And what we try to do in this space is to generate some ideas and questions regarding where to go when it comes to technology and innovation, and what are the most appropriate processes for young people in family agriculture. So those of us are considered the references for family agriculture in the Southern Cone, and we come from different agriculture. In my case, I'm from Uruguay, and I am part of the National Commission of at rural level. We work in the development of family agriculture particularly, and also in the Southern Cone. But we have other young people coming from other institutions through some of the experiences that are being developed. And something that we wanted to think about and tell you about are some of the challenges and also opportunities that we see in family agriculture when we think about the digitalization. And these are some things that we have been discussing as part of our experiences, but without a doubt, based on our experience and from what we've learned and exchanged, is everything related to connectivity, virtuality, and the specific processes, but virtuality allowed us, and this is something that was strengthened during the pandemic, as a way to keep on working and finding each other during the pandemic, because it was hard to get together, and it was important to contribute to the different networks that are not only at national level, but pertain to the Southern Cone and the Americas, and also everything related to commercialization, which was strengthened during the pandemic as a great opportunity to be able to trade through digital networks, which has also resulted in the direct sale of products, particularly fruits and vegetables, and also the importance of part of these direct sales of generating networks between the rural and urban areas. And that has also been really important when it comes to family agriculture, because when we think about it, it's really important to have family agriculture when it comes to rural development. And also, it's important for the youth to be able to have this link instead of being isolated, and also to have spaces to share experiences related to digitalization and how can this contribute. And also productive experiences from Procisur. And we created a virtual community based on the good productive practices, and also adding value to products on behalf of the youth. And for us, we see that there's a lot to explore, and it's really good that it's the youth who are currently thinking about technologies and digitalization for family agriculture based on young people. And we also have identified some challenges, and specifically when it comes to family agriculture for the peasants, and we are in faraway places. So the infrastructure in general for connectivity purposes is not always good. So it's hard sometimes to think about digitalization of processes when we don't even have a good signal to be able to connect or communicate. So we still have many challenges to face when it comes to infrastructure, and also when it comes to the self-management and dependency. We can come up with some technology for family agriculture, as I mentioned, and also we need to analyze the initial cost and how necessary training is in order to be able to handle digitalization in an adequate manner. And all of this, when we start thinking about the development of programs, applications of ways to digitalize it, we need something specific. And then we need to think what for and the how, which is really important when it comes to digitalization for sustainable agriculture or to transitions toward eco-agriculture, in order to have processes that will allow to have productive systems and the production of food, which I think is really important. And we also need to take care of the environment, and we also need to take care of the people that are producing this food, in addition to those who will be the consumers. So for us, it's really important that it has become a challenge to set the path for these transitions towards eco-agriculture. And something that's also important for us is to think about digitalization and the incorporation of new technologies into production on the agri-food and the production of foods particularly, but it's also important, as I mentioned before, that this needs to be adopted within a context and to take into account all the infrastructure and structure in order to raise awareness in order for family agriculture to keep on developing, taking into account access to land, access to resources, and the conservation of native species, access to quality education and recreation. So it's important to think who are we generating all this for and how. And in order to do this, we need to have family farmers and peasants throughout Latin America involved. And we also need to think about the necessary structure in order to tackle all of these challenges and to be able to generate these new technologies and to be able to apply them in a way that contributes to these productive processes, but also the livelihoods and lives of people that live in rural areas. So this is what we wanted to share with you for the youth and family agriculture. Thank you. Thank you, Lucia. I would like to thank you all for your valuable participation and for sharing your perspectives and experiences and also to adhering to the time given. And hopefully we can have ways to strengthen our commitment to the youth and digitalization in the Americas. And now I give the floor back to Carlos. Thank you. Thank you and for moderating such an important panel. It's been really interesting, and I would like to thank all the young people that have taken part. I think it's really motivated to listen to the different technologies and digital technologies being applied to transform the agriculture and the different perspectives and visions throughout the Americas at different levels and different realities that tell us once again about the existing opportunities, but also the challenges to get to know what we must work on and focus and direct our efforts to. So again, thank you very much. And I think that this can be a motivation and inspiration for other young people that want to follow in these steps of digitalizations for agri-food systems. And now we'll move on to the last block of our webinar, to be led by the management of the digitalization programs. We're going to have Federico Bert and Priscila Zúñiga leading this block. And they would also share a perspective to complement everything that we've listened to so far. So Federico, the floor is yours. Thank you very much. Thank you, Carlos, for this introduction. And I would really like to give a special thanks to the panel members today, Daniela, Bianca, Cachar, Andres, Lucia. The messages that you have conveyed today are going to help us reflect and make more visible all these contributions of the youth to the transformation of agri-food systems from digitalization. Now, I would like to give the floor to my colleague, Federico Bert. Thank you, Priscila, and thank you, Carlos. From Buenos Aires, Argentina, I would like to send you warm greetings to all of us with us today. I'm really happy to be a part of this commemoration and to listen to all the stories that have been shared and are so inspiring. And to start this closing block, and after a discussion with Priscila, I wanted to make a first question. From my vision, the youth in general and rural youth are part of the present and, as Lloyd said, and the future of agriculture, and somehow they will ensure a more intelligent agriculture, which is what we need as of today to face the challenges. And I would like to highlight the role of the youth in a more intelligent agriculture and everything that we have in our surroundings. And in relation to this, Pris, it's hard for me to call you Priscilla. I wanted to ask a first question to start this exchange. So, from your perspective, what is the importance of commemorating today the Youth and Rural Youth Day at the ICA in particular? Thank you for the question, Fede. And yes, indeed, a day like today, the International Youth Day, allows us to better understand the importance and the role that they play in agri-food system, because it's not by chance, because according to FAO data, in the Americas, we have 30 million young people between 15 and 29 years old, which accounts for approximately 25.3% of the rural population in general and 19.3% in total of young people. And another important element to highlight, as we've seen during your participation today and during the presentations, young people are those that will potentiate the digital transformation of the food systems through their actions. And also, they are people that are not only recipients, but also proposing agents of ideas that will generate innovation throughout the Americas. Today, we had the pleasure of listening to a representation of different regions, but these good practices can be potentiated throughout the Americas. And that this is where the importance of positioning this date lies, because on a day like today, we have made efforts to raise awareness and to boost all these contributions made by the youth and to get to know the experience is starting from everything that the young people have shared with us today. And this will also expand our knowledge based on their experiences. So, Fede, also, we've seen on these different examples, I would like to ask you how this digitalization is changing agriculture, but specifically like the young people have demonstrated. I don't know if you can elaborate on the importance of digitalization for the inclusion and sustainability in agriculture. Of course, Prissy, and I'm glad that you shared some figures in order to have a more clear dimension of something that we might imagine, but unless we have the figures, it's not real. And in relation to the implications on how strong the youth are when it comes to the rural aspect. And to answer your question, somehow we always listen on different presentations and talks, but we cannot separate digitalization as a process of the youth agriculture. And I want to make a couple of comments. On one hand, evidently, the digital technologies that when we apply and use them adequately are evidently a very concrete tool in order to gain sustainability and improve the inclusion. That's without a doubt, and not only in agriculture, but on our day-to-day, in which we see how through different technologies and digital platforms, so we can generate links that we were not able to do before we had these technologies. So again, there is no doubt about it to the extent that they are adequately applied. So all these digital technologies that we have available today will allow us on the side of agriculture to have a better productivity, higher efficiency, and a more rational and responsible use of natural resources and input, and also an integration of people from different circuits on different businesses and transactions that are part of the agri-food chains. And just like this, I could mention many other examples that somehow talk about the great benefits that these digital technologies might have for agri-food systems. And I think that Kasia already mentioned this during her presentation. And also, I think that we cannot separate digitalization and the youth because without discussion, young people can better adapt to an ever-changing world, and they have skills that those of us who are a bit older not necessarily have when it comes to manipulating the use of these digital technologies. And that's something that we've seen during this forum or webinar, because we've seen how natural it comes to the young people during their presentations to tell us about everything that they are doing, all the way from inserting themselves in the development of all of this and to promoting the development of new things and being part of institutions like ICA that promote digitalization. So I think that these are evident examples and that this is just a sample of this inseparable link. So to close, I say that evidently there are great benefits coming our way hand in hand with digital technologies and the youth that can be integrated into agriculture. However, I go back to you with another question, Pri. We still have many challenges ahead of us and many barriers that we need to address, and we need to make them visible among the international community for everything that we've mentioned so far regarding benefits and opportunities to be more concrete and to become something positive. And now I give the floor back to you because I guess that you have more details for us regarding these challenges that we have ahead of us. Yes, of course. Unfortunately, we still have different challenges for the different populations in the rural youth in the America. So maybe I would like to mention some figures that can demonstrate these facts. For example, 54% of young rural women complete their high school. 20% less than their urban counterparts. And I think that that's a very challenging data. And in addition, if we look at these from the labor standpoint, the jobs of rural women are characterized, unfortunately, for how precarious and weak they are when it comes to access to rights. For example, access to social security, and also young people have the greatest rates of illiteracy, less years of study, and less possibilities to complete high school education and limited access to university education. For example, then urban youth. And in here, we're talking about this scar effect that these gaps have or represent for these people. If we think about the impact that this might have on indigenous children, because they will face education gaps and also with their non-indigenous counterparts, because they have 3.3 less years of education. But when it comes to female children, the illiteracy rates are even higher, with an average of 6 percentage points less than male children. And these are just some of the gaps that we still have. We've seen, we've talked about access to connectivity, and from ICA, we are really committed to facing all these actions, supporting technical cooperation. So in this sense, there are some digital gaps too. So what could you tell about all these challenges in order to cover all these areas? Yes, unfortunately, there are some digital gaps that are big, and they can be added to all the alarming figures that you just mentioned. And in that sense, maybe I can tell you that the fact that there are some gaps makes clear the possibility of advancing in digitalization to have also negative effects and not only positive effects. What I mean is that if we think about this digitalization process as a career with different starting points that are not even, then clearly we have people or situations that are going to be higher chances of having negative results. So going back to the figures and these gaps, on one hand, I could mention that less than 15% of rural schools in the Americas or Latin America and the Caribbean have access to broadband and high quality, which is something essential, particularly nowadays, not only because of the application of technologies, but the new opportunities that we have for education and what it means to have greater connectivity. And at a more general level, only 37%, something that we have analyzed in detail on different studies that we completed at AICA, only 37%, much less than half of the rural inhabitants of the Americas have significant connectivity, which means more, at least the average than the connectivity that we need in order to advance in digitalization.
Quizás el más preocupante de todos es que solo el 17%
Maybe only 17% or less of rural people, we have studied this from AICA, has the skills or the basic skills to manipulate digital technologies, digital tools. So as long as these gaps, these differences exist between groups of people or between people, the possibility of the progress of digitalization is latent too, and it will expand gaps. And on one end, it will generate exclusion. So people may be outside of the game, quotation marks, because of the progress of this phenomenon. There is no question that, and it is almost unavoidable, that digitalization progresses on a daily basis. So this is an ongoing systematic task to pay attention to find a way to reduce these gaps in order to ensure a positive balance of the progress and the digitalization, which in one way or another will happen. That is why we consider important that today, the day where youth are celebrated, we can give visibility to the link between transformation that is happening in agriculture with digital technologies and the role of the youth role. And by giving visibility, we can also address all this that we mentioned, including the statistics I add, because that gives us a possibility to see that there may be negative impacts. So please, I'll give you the floor back. Thank you, Fede. I would like to highlight in this activity, we have made an effort to have parity in the ACTEX participation. We are promoting this from AICA because of the meaning of talking about technology and digitalization and gender equity. Our Deputy Director, Mr. Rodane, commented this. He said that this celebration emphasizes the role of women, of young women in ACTEX, because outside this line, there are also gaps. As Mr. Lloyd mentioned, only 11% of entrepreneur teams have women as co-founders. That is why we wanted to make this an inclusion, a space of inclusion and motivation for young women, for them to add and enter in STEM careers, even to be co-founders and to continue developing more ACTEX, as we have seen today with our panelists. And of course, with this participation, this participation, we invite to view and invite women in other events, including men and women. So to close, I would like to give you the floor back. Thank you, Presa. Very briefly, for me to respect the deadline, propose? I'll say two things. First of all, with the stories Daniela, Bianca, Kashar, and Lucia and Andres told us, there are two important things. On one hand, a new agriculture is coming from youth. A story that you told us are important at this regard. And the other aspect is that the kind of an agriculture that transforms with digital technologies, there are many opportunities for young people. We clearly see these opportunities to enter into companies in key areas such as research and development. There are opportunities for us to have our own companies as entrepreneurships. Important contribution under the framework of institutions like AICA. Each story we heard today mention opportunities for youth under the framework of a new agriculture. To conclude, I'll say that from September 23 to September 20, so we're going to have the Week of the Digital Agriculture, an event AICA organizes every year to move the process of digitalization. We invite you to participate in that scope face to face, because somehow this is an opportunity to continue this conversation that we began today and to give visibility to anything related to digitalization. On my behalf, that's it, and thank you. Thanks to you. And in closing, I would like to say that although we made a tour on different gaps, collectivity, infrastructure, access to education, to the different rights, we have big opportunities for young women, young people can add. As we saw, digitalization and the use of technologies will contribute to food safety, to supporting crops, to improve the quality and growth. So with these elements, I remind you that Daniela said, it is important to listen the voices of young people. It is also important that from their voices we understand the needs and the realities they are facing as young people in order to progress in this transformation of agri-food systems. Efforts aim to make visible the learnings, and with that we can progress and the Agenda 2030, for example, the SDG 5 that promote the women empowerment. With this, we can mention that we women can be part of the use of technologies. We can also contribute a lot with agri-food systems. So our special appreciation to our panelists and to female panelists, our male panelists, for the efforts to be transformative agents in agri-food systems. Thank you so much. So with this, I would like to give the floor to my colleague, Carlos. Thank you, Priscilla and Federico, for positioning all these data and ideas, because that explains why it's important to continue working on this and implementing the actions of the young people in Americas. We close this webinar thanking the panelists, particularly Daniela, Bianca, Casar, Andres, and Lucia. Thank you for your participation and for continue working and for the agri-food systems be more inclusive, sustainable, and fair. We also want to thank, as Lloyd said at the beginning, we want to thank the organizations, partner organizations, and friend organizations that made this possible. Jose and Andrea are here, as well as Cecilia and Tiffany. And finally, the team that makes this goes well, the ICT team, Ricardo, David, and of course, Gisela and Lorena. Thank you, everybody. We remind you that you can continue consulting this session in this ICA social media. Thanks for your time and participation, and see you next time. Have a nice rest of the day. Bye-bye.